This is going to be a video about a subject that I feel very strongly about, maybe the most strongly about anything. And I'm going to start from scratch this time, and I'm going to use this video also to talk about shortcuts. Now, the real the subject that I feel so strongly about is adding country risk premiums and going to this horrible website by somebody named Demogan, you probably know it, and putting in a really high risk premium for a country risk, creating a vicious circle. You create the risk premium goes high, people can't afford power, you take too many resources out of a country, and then you say, oh no, there's political risk. And then the risk premium goes higher, and then the electric prices go even higher, and then the political risk goes even higher. And I'm going to show you, the whole thing is a bunch of rubbish. It's just these arbitrary risk premiums come from nowhere, and they don't make any sense at all. I want to show you that the implied probability of nationalization or probability of expropriation is extraordinarily high. And I'm going to use the Petrozuata case. And I think there's a little bit of background, because I'm in beautiful Rio de Janeiro right now. I'm next to the beach making a video, and I should be outside, but whatever. So let's start with a project without political risk. Okay, now I'm going to try to remember some of these shortcut keys. Some of these I haven't used for a long time, and let's put the required IRR, and let's say we have a 12% IRR. Okay, now let's make some of the shortcuts. If you want to look at some of these shortcuts, if you go to courses on the Google Drive and go to the chapter number 1, and then go down to folder number 12, and then I think I hopefully still have a file called FM. This is a file I used to use a lot. This used to be my big file. Now I don't use it much. Okay, I make a little introductory macro thing. I'll show you that on a different sheet. Ooh, look at this. I put a picture of Chicago. I don't like that anymore. Then we have a list of shortcuts. The first is just a shortcut to make a graph. Okay, and then if you just go from sheet to sheet, you just press Control Page Down, Control Page Up. Okay, and what's that? Shift Control Page Down. I don't know what that does. Does that? Sorry about that. That's not a good one. And then let's. Okay, then I just kind of circle the one. Control arrow key. Just moves to the next one, and of course, Shift Control right arrow. Shift Control down arrow, that just copies it. Let's see, F5 is the go-to, Control spacebar is that highlights a row, Shift spacebar, excuse me, and then you can press Control minus to delete, Shift Control plus to add. If you want to make the whole sheet, select the whole sheet, press Control Shift spacebar and then Control spacebar, because Control spacebar selects an entire column. Okay, and Control A is supposed to select the whole sheet. Sometimes you have to press it twice. What's this? I said I like this one. Shift Control brace. I don't know what the select cells. Okay, that wasn't very good. F8. How does F8 work? Look at this. Okay, extend selection. I don't turn the extend mode off and on. I'm sorry about that one. Shift control arrow, we've talked about this. Shift control end just goes, what does that do? Shift control. I don't have an end on my computer. Yes, shift control. That's just, excuse me for that. Alternate enter. That's kind of a okay one. If you have 1 and press alternate enter and then 2, you can do this. Control Y repeats the last action, so if we insert a cell and we press F4 or Control Y, we can do that, or of course Control Z or Z does that. Shift Control 3, that's important. If we have some numbers, 1, 2, 3, and we put 1 here, 2, 3, then if you select this area like this and press Shift Control F3, what that does is if you click on the right column, it names these ranges. So here, this is 1, you see up here 1, 2, 3. Oh, I don't know if I put a little space in front of the 1, that's okay. Let's put 1 like this. Okay. And then if you Shift Control 3, F3 presses, that's where you get the range names. Okay, and then if you want to see the range names, you press Control F3, and that just lists almost that whole thing. That just lists them. And then if you just put F3, that's another one where you can just put something and you can paste the list of range names. I'm going to take that away. Control R, of course, copies to the right. So if we have 1, and we select to the right, Shift and right arrow, and then Control R, that copies it to the right. Okay. Another good one is if you press 1, and if you select that and put Alt E I S enter, it will just copy that to the right. Control F3, that just lists the range names again. Okay, Shift Control F3 as well. Control plus semicolon. Let's try this one. Control semicolon. That just puts the date in. Haven't used that in ages. And Control Z undoes the last thing. I can't get that one to work. Shift Control Enter is after you use the transpose or something. Shift F3 is this. You must try to use the Shift F3. Let's put F3. F2. Shift F3. And then it just, I don't think that's that cool. Okay. And alternate enter we've already done. Display the spelling books. Control Z. Control C. I think I've done most of the ones I want to do. So that's in FM. Okay. So now let's go back to, I'll leave this. No, I'm not going to leave this open. I hate leaving this one. Okay, I bet you can find better ones. So if I press Shift Control 1, oh great. That's because I had the damn thing open. Shift Control 2 puts a time. Shift Control 3 makes it a date. Shift Control 4 makes it a dollar sign. Shift Control 5 puts it a 6. Shift Control 7 does God knows what. Shift Control to the left of the 1 just makes it a regular one. Shift Control 5 puts it here. So now let's try some shortcut keys. Now if I put cash flows, and then let's put a minus 1,000 here. Okay, and then how about this? Let's make it 120. That's going to give us about the right IRR. Now in the Petrozuata case, okay, and then press Shift Control 1, Shift Control this one to this little approximate sign to the left of it. Okay, and now I'm going to do this, and notice it says 6 columns there, and then it says, now it doesn't say 6 columns. Where does it say the columns? Oh, it says it right here, 20 columns, and I want to go up to 35 columns. And then I press Control F, and then we get our list, okay? And let's just put this as an equal to that. Now what happens if I want to cut off the sheet? Now maybe one of the best shortcut keys is if you select these two and then press Shift, so you have to select first, you have to first select the area, Shift spacebar. And then if you press Shift alternate right arrow, Shift alternate left arrow, Shift alternate right, Shift alternate left. Shift alternate right, if you press the minus sign, of course it takes it away. The plus sign puts it back. Number 2 takes it, leaves it there. 1 puts it back. 2 takes it away. Shift alternate left arrow, okay? Now if you'd want to cut off the whole sheet in a flexible way, you click on the entire, this column, Control spacebar, Shift Control right arrow, Shift alternate right arrow, and then you press the number 1 with the mouse. There's probably a way to do it without the mouse. I don't know how. And then if you go over here and press Shift Control right arrow, Control R, that just copies it. Okay, and then we can put our actual IRR is this one, and we put IRR, and of course if you go up 1 and then press Shift spacebar, you can get the whole line. And then if we want an additional decimal, you press Alt H9, Alt H0, excuse me, Alt H0. Alt H9 makes it smaller. Alt H0 makes it larger, okay? And then we can put the difference. And put an equal sign and just take this minus this, and we get the difference. Now let's make a little macro. Let's put diff over here. Why did that happen? Shift Control 5, Alt H, excuse me. Come on, I'm doing something really bad here. I don't know what. Alt F. I pressed Alt F. Alt H0. Alt H0. Okay, and we want to make this difference to be 0 by changing this. Now again, this is a basic one, but if you press F5 and then go to Special and then click on Constants and click off Text, and then click on the blue sheet, that shows you what our inputs are. So our first year cash flow is this one. Now, I don't know where to put this. Perhaps I'll just put it down here. So we'll put first, okay, and then if you select these two, Shift Control F3, we'll get a range name on the first one. If you select those, Shift Control F3, we'll get a range name on that one. Okay, so far, and then remember, Control F3 will list the two arrange names, okay? So now I'm going to make a quick macro, and let's call this goalseek1. Okay, and let's go to our data sheet and go to what if analysis, goalseek, and we click on the set the difference, and we make that equal to 0, and we change the first year cash flow. Okay, and we press OK, and we stop the macro. And then when you make a macro like this, you can go to the developer and macros, and you better, when you do this, why is the FM, oh, it opened the FM, this sucks. Okay, and then we'll go to the goalseek and edit that, and then say, oh shit, just a macro and edit. Why didn't that work? Okay, and then we make this now. Maybe the best thing to do is make it a little smaller. Okay. Okay, and there are some people coming here, so that's okay. But we set this difference, and then you can just see exactly what you've changed. Okay, and then the reason that's so important is if now I insert or delete a line, everything will still work. So if I want to make this 13%, what I do is just insert a quick little box, and we can assign this one to a macro. That's not really a shortcut. We can call this find the price. I haven't got to the key point yet. Okay. And then we can, don't worry about this little one right now. Sometime later I'll explain that. So that's a few of the shortcut keys. Of course, if you press Shift Control right arrow, Shift Control 1, Shift Control 4, Shift Control 5, Shift Control 1, you can get this. And I don't know, there's probably some way to efficiently do that one as well. Okay, and now let's put political risk. Now in this case study, here's what they did. It's disgusting. You go to the Petrozuata case. There's my travel reservations. And in the Petrozuata case, here's the cost of capital. And they say, here's 667 basis points. That's the political risk. What a bunch of crap. Okay, so now we put political risk. Okay, and let's put 6.67. Okay, again, here's a problem. If you press Shift Control F5, it doesn't put you have to press Alt H0. Alt H0. Maybe you're fast enough to do that, I think. I hardly ever use that. And then we put total required return. So that we have a basic IRR, we have a regular project, and we add 6.67% to that, and then we get the return. Now, if you want to save the file, if you press F12, that's a good little shortcut. And then let's make sure and save this as a macro-enabled shortcut. And we'll call this political risk exercise. Okay, I don't know, I'll probably change the name of it eventually, and I'll put this on my website. I assume. Can you hear the background music? I don't know. Okay. Now, again, if you want to make a graph of this, here, another shortcut key is first select the whole area, and then if you want to make a graph on a different page, you press this, and if you want to delete the graph, Alt-E-L. Okay. Now, if you want to make the graph on the same page, you press Alt and F1, and it puts it on the same page. Okay. And why did this give me so many things? Alt-H. Oops. I think I put Alt-F just now. Alt-H. Is it 9? Alt-H9. Okay. Now, if we do this, here's what we're going to have to do. We'll do the same thing. We'll put our cash flows. Okay, and we'll start with the same negative cash flow. And then we'll put another first cash flows. I'm going to put this as 200. And then I'm going to this shift control right arrow control R. Okay, and now we're going to make a second one, and then let's put the IRR that we compute. And we put IRR and shift space bar. Okay, I hope I'm doing Alt-H9, Alt-H0, Alt-H0. Forgot about this. So, oops, it's pretty close, and then let's put a difference. Okay, and now let's practice a couple more shortcut keys. Let's call this diff. Now, if you call this diff1, it wouldn't work, because that's some cell in Excel, so I put diff_1, something like this. Select this, shift, control F3. Okay, and let's call this, how about first one or something. Remember that shift control F3. That's the bottom. And now let's make another goal seek. So we just make this goal seek 2. Okay, and just do the same thing, go to data, what if analysis, goal seek, set the difference to 0 by changing this one. Okay. And we press OK. And we're just about there. We better stop recording the macro. And remember, let's just do, since this is such a common macro, let's go and do the same thing again. Go to developer, macros, go to go seek 2, press edit, and then this one, the reason this one showed up is I must have clicked on something, and then this is going to be diff1, and we change, to get that we change first. I haven't got emotional about issues yet, but what this says is, and now if you, let's just copy this, okay, and find the price of this one. Oops. Okay, I think there's some way, there's a shortcut where you can select all these little things. Find price 1. Okay, and of course, oops, you need to right-click and assign the macro and go to goal seek 2 and press OK. Okay, so if we change the risk premium to, now let's do this other thing again. F5, go to special. Of course, I would put a macro around this. Press text, press OK, go to home, press the blue arrow, and did I do that? I think I did that. And then we see we can do this. So if I change this to 5%, then the additional price we need is here, shift control 1. And if I put 6.67%, which is in the case, we get a different price. Okay? Now I'm going to do the crime. This is the crime. This is the crime, and I believe there's some kind of conspiracy of financial people wanting to get more money out of countries that can't afford it, because then we can put implied probability of expropriation. And that implied probability of expropriation, what we can do is we can see, okay, let's first put year of expropriation. I hope I spelled that right. And then we can put probability of expropriation. Now when you have an expropriation, you normally get paid back. And let's put loss given expropriation. Now if some people are in banking, they immediately see that this is like probability of default and loss given default. So let's say we have a year expropriation in year 5, we have a 50% chance, an enormous chance of expropriation. And let's say when we lose our money, we lose 60% of it. That's a pretty big loss. A lot of times you'd lose a lot less. Okay, and then we can put, now let's put a switch. Now this isn't really, this says, let's take this number and make it greater than or equal. Let's even make it greater than or equal, because F4, I hope you know that shortcut F4, just keep going around, shift control right arrow, shift control R. Okay, so we have no expropriation, and then we're going to make it true, and then we put loss, and the loss is, somebody's got something in there. The loss is the 50% multiplied by how much we recover. So we multiply that by, if we have a loss of 50%, and then we lose 60% of that, press F4, oops, somebody's got a speaker phone or something, then that's our actual loss, and then what we better do is just multiply that by the true effect. Okay, shift control right arrow, control. Okay, and then we can put, now we can put net proceeds. And let's just, so what we do is we take the amount we get here, with the higher price we have to charge people. Oh, this is horrible. Oh, I'm going to have to put it over here. This times 1 minus the amount we lose, right? Okay, and we get better copy of this. Shift control right arrow, control R. Suppose you could maybe do the loss given expropriation a little bit differently and lose it all at one time, but I think this is good enough. And now we can also put how much we spent. Then finally we can put our realized and just put an equal IRR here, and again shift spacebar, shift alt H9, alt H0. I guess it always goes backwards, and we'll put our difference now. Okay, and now we're still, this time we're earning, with this probability of default, we're earning a lot more than what our original target was. And now we're going to make a goal seek, and this time I'm going to press F5 one more time, go to special. Of course you should do this in a macro text. Okay, click on this one. Then we're going to make one more macro. I'll put diff2 or something, and what we're going to do is call this our probability. So we're going to change this and press Shift Control F3 here. That says we take the right column. Shift Control F3 here, take the right column again, and we make a goal seek, and we say that is goal seek 3, and we press OK, and then we say OK, let's go to data. What if analysis goal seek? Let's set that difference to 0 by changing the probability. Okay, and that gives us an absurd probability. It gives us a crazy probability. Well, let's stop recording this. That's so crazy. So that says that if we charge that sort of risk premium in the IRR, and we wait 5 years until the expropriation happens, it's equivalent to saying that there's a 91% chance of expropriation happening. How absurd! That shows you how crazy these risk premiums, adding these risk premiums, adding these country risk premiums really is. And now I'm going to let's do this. Let's copy this, and instead of this, let's call this find probability. Okay. And let's right click and assign this macro to goal seek 3. Now Heidi, my friend Heidi, she's so wonderful. Never met her, only on the internet. She gives me fantastic ideas. She has told me to try to make these a little more interesting, these things. And I think she's totally right. He says, try to tell some kind of story along with it. And I'm going to try to do that in the future. It's not easy for me, and I'm writing up these case studies. So I'm writing up a big one on Petrozuata. And whoops, this is the financial crisis. And one of the big points in this thing is this Harvard case study says, oh, there's no political risk, and you can get these. My student today told me you can get these teaching notes. I don't know how to get them. You have to register or something. I don't know how to do that. I don't care about them anyway. But this teaching note had this crazy thing about the cost of capital being 21%. 21% cost of capital. How crazy. So, and this is where I'm going to write up all this political risk stuff. Okay? And structure should begin by talking about betas. Come on. Okay? And then that's that. So where are we? Okay? And let's just do a couple of other things. So let's say the year of expropriation is 3, and we lose 90% when we have an expropriation. If we find, now the implied probability is still 47%, 50% almost chance that we're going to lose just about everything when you did this. Now, did I make a mistake here? This should have been, I think, this is 47%. Our loss, yes, our loss is 47%. That's right. That's how much we lose in this one. And it just demonstrates to me using these things is crazy. Is there any other shortcut key that I can think of that we've done? I can't really think of one now. So I'm going to stop this video. Okay.